in general, we learned that there weren't a lot of changes. So as far as a new framework is concerned, yes, they're saying this is a new framework that is more dynamic and better for the industry. But basically, surprisingly to a lot of people, it's the status quo. So in terms of royalties that the Alberta government will take in from oil and gas, we won't be seeing any more money coming to Alberta coffers. For sure for the next 2 years, and it might slowly ramp up after that. But in terms of royalty rates, there are no changes for the oil sands industry, none whatsoever. And in terms of royalty changes for drilling for oil and gas, all of the wells that are already drilled, the royalty rates stay exactly the same. So they keep going on, they keep taking the money in. Yes, so after 2017, new royalty rates will come in for new wells. The thing is, we don't know what those rates are yet. The government hasn't released those. And for those wells that are already out there too, the ones that have already been built, for the next 10 years, they're guaranteed to have the same royalty rates. So really, we have the same royalty rates out there. But as Dave Mowat, the head of the review panel, said, he said, this is less about royalty rates and more about the royalty framework. That's how he said. He said, we've been focusing too much on the money or on the rates themselves and not enough about the overall framework. That's how he sold it.
It was, I think, a real shock to everyone to see how much stasis was going to be in the system. There are a few like really small little changes. One of them, for example, is that if you set out drilling and you were looking for hydrocarbon A and you actually hit hydrocarbon B, it used to be that there were different royalty rates for natural gas, for oil. So they're saying now that the rates will be sort of
harmonized, and they're harmonized. There's 3 different kinds of hydrocarbons. They're all going to be harmonized so that if you accidentally drill and get a different kind of hydrocarbon, it's not going to necessarily impact what you have to pay.
So they're saying that it's an agnostic system. So if you hit natural gas when you were looking for oil, if you hit if you hit methane when you were looking for something else, so you're not going to be penalized for that. So in some ways, the industry seems cautiously happy. Now there may be some rumblings and some blowbacks from NDP true believers who remember all of the rhetoric about fire sale prices and wanting to get our fair share, and you can see a certain kind of bulking from Rachel Notley's base, people who were told that we were getting shafted and that this was going to give us justice. On the other hand, I think the countervail is that all of the people who were waiting to pounce on her now kind of had the rug pulled out from under them. So you sort of had this sort of like this built-up tidal wave of rage, Team Angry was all set to go. And then they, I think, felt a little bit deflated when they saw the results. So, for her, it's kind of a political saw-off. I think she has disappointed some in her base camp. But I think politically, the balancing act that she struck will be more in Rachel Notley's favor than not.
I think Notley made a commitment during the campaign. She fulfilled her commitment today. I think it was, in a nutshell, realism and pragmatism trumping ideology today. The broader context, as we all know, is that the oil industry is basically fighting for its life in this province. As the Premier mentioned in her press conference today, our biggest customer is now our biggest competitor. They don't have a carbon tax. They're not interested in climate tests on new pipelines. They build new pipelines every month. There's a $4 billion pipeline that is in the process of regulatory approval from the Bakken to Illinois. You barely hear a peep about it in Canada. We don't,
or in America. I mean, it's not, where were the people who were so angry about Keystone? They're not angry about moving the Bakken oil, which is every bit as quote unquote dirty.
Absolutely, and we're competing with Mexico. They're shipping what's called Mayan crude. It's comparable to our benchmark crude here in Alberta to refineries on the Texas coast. Again, no issue around climate tests or carbon taxes down there. So I think she's recognizing the reality of the world that we now find ourselves in, and I think the industry will be happy that this is behind them. They're not going to be holding any parades with oil at $33 a barrel today. But I think this is one step in the right direction, and I personally, as the evil pro-capitalist in the group here today, I applaud. I think she made the right decision at the right time.